actually music.
Yeah, there was actually.
This was actually much better organized than the fact.
And I said to this generation, like, you're complaining about cheese sandwiches. Grandma was in the mud with a head of cabbage. But I wore my Ralph Lauren tie-dye shirt today as a symbol of, you know, some people saw those dirty hippies as a threat to decent society, right. But more capitalists saw them as a new...
Did you tie-dye that Ralph Lauren shirt?
No, it came this way. And that's what's happened, right? Live music is now a $30 billion business, and instead of selling or giving breakfast in bed to 400,000, they're selling it.
I wonder if Ralph and Jerry Lauren were there.
They might have been. They might have been.
It's amazing that so many things went right, that it actually... I mean, everything could have gone wrong, and a lot of it did go wrong.
They had no venue 30 days before 150,000 ticket buyers were going to show up. And Max Yasgur's farm, famously, he was the sort of patron saint. He said, yeah, you can have it here. I think your kids are going to be okay. And they were jerry-rigging. It was a whole exercise in improv. They had to build a bridge from the back of the stage onto the stage and go like, so what should the load be? How much is Jimi Hendrix weigh? How much does a groupie weigh? You know, like constructing the stage according to that. It should have gone off the rails. 2 people died. It was the 3rd largest city in New York State for a weekend. There was 1 overdose, and 1 poor camper got run over by a tractor.
Wow. Well, one of the Cook creators, I think, the original Cook creators who you spent time with, they were talking about wanting to do a new one. Is that going to happen?
Well, no, it's not. And we followed that because a lot of those same disasters repeated themselves 50 years later. But times have changed, and the magic was gone. They couldn't overcome the obstacles. They paid $32 million to Jay-Z and Miley Cyrus and Dead Company up front, and in the end begged them to give some of it to charity because they just couldn't find a venue for it anymore. So that was part of the answer to the question. Could it happen again? Not this way.
But weird. Thanks very much. I look forward to this, the C9 special report. I look forward to watching it, not I've been there. Woodstock at 50 airs tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Looks fascinating. After the break, what did President Trump do to make up for never winning that Emmy he wanted so much? Well, he found a new award for himself. Comes with a big caveat. We'll explain on The Ridiculous next.
A single-stringed guitar from Vietnam. No one knows for sure when these instruments were invented, but craftsmen like Do Viet Dong make them by hand, just as his father did when this music workshop first opened in 1953. It's not easy to make them. First, he selects the wood, the guitar is then shaved and shaped.
Hiện nay thì những cái nhà máy lớn.
Now many big factories, for example in China, can produce musical instruments like guitars by machine that are cheaper than ours. However, the Vietnamese can compete with them because mass production doesn't create as beautiful a sound. In Vietnam, we produce guitars by hand and use all natural materials. It may not be as cheap, but the sound is outstanding.
All new Inside Africa. Unlocking the mysteries behind a continent you thought you knew. Rwanda's rising fashion goes viral and rebrands a nation.
I really like that we've been able to tell our story because we're doing great stuff.
Inside Africa, Sunday, only on CNN, in association with Zenith Bank.
The 100 Club, our look at companies that are 100 years old or older. Fragrance company Caswell Massey began in 1752 as an apothecary in Newport, Rhode Island. founded by a Scottish doctor named William Hunter. It is considered one of the oldest continuously running companies in American history.
So Guess What Massey is truly an American original. We are the oldest beauty brand in America by any stretch, and we were founded before the country was founded.
The signature No. 6 cologne debuted in 1772. Today, it is regarded as the first American fragrance and was a favorite of none other than George Washington himself.
Basically, George Washington was our first celebrity endorser for our company. He liked the fragrance enough that he bought it and he wore it.
I'm Will Ripley in Pyongyang, North Korea. This is CNN.
Time now for the ridiculous. Apparently, when President Trump isn't heckling overweight supporters or trying to buy Greenland with a post-dated check from Deutsche Bank, he's piling up phony honors in his imaginary trophy case. To wit, last night in New Hampshire, the president claimed he was once named Michigan Man of the Year. That's right, Michigan. Great state. Just up there a couple weeks ago for the debates. And according to the world's most powerful former bankrupt casino magnate, from Detroit to Grand Rapids, from the Upper Peninsula to Kalamazoo, the manliest man without a trade war plan is one Donald J. Trump.
In fact, 5 or 6 years before I even thought about running, for whatever reason, they named me Man of the Year in Michigan. I said, how come? I didn't even understand it myself, but I was named Man of the Year.
I don't know how that happened. It just happened. But what's funny, the thing is, it never happened. So not only is there zero proof that Citizen Trump ever got that award, there's zero proof that award even exists. It's not a thing. Apparently he just made it up. It is the widespread voter fraud of Man of the Year prizes. Finally, we have discovered all the voting fraud he's been talking about, because this thing doesn't exist. CNN reached out to the White House's part-time press office, which seems to basically be open from like noon to 4, 3 days a week, drive-through only, for an explanation. Big surprise, we got no response. Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna have to try to find old Sean Spicer. I think he's on ET, or is it Extra, or Access? Isn't he a special correspondent for one of those things? We'll look up. I'll check Wikipedia. As it turns out, because he makes his own. As it turns out, I don't know why I'm saying that. The wannabe mogul of Motown has been spinning this fool's gold story, this fool's gold record for years.
In Michigan, they gave me an award 7 years ago. I had no idea. It was the Man of the Year in Michigan. Because when I got the award, the Man of the Year 5 years ago in Michigan, I was Man of the Year in Michigan a number of years ago. I was honored 5 years ago, Man of the Year in Michigan. That was a great honor for me.
Great honor. It's just a great honor. Man of the Year. I mean, I didn't know he'd been spinning this thing for quite some time. Again, this is the President of the United States. Of all the holy grails in public life, he has the biggest one. He is drinking from that cup, along with, apparently, the world's best at-home meatloaf, if you believe what he told Chris Christie. You can Google it. Yet for some reason, this president feels the need to invent bogus awards, to inflate his net worth, to boast about beautiful letters from a murderous dictator, and, for good measure, display sham magazine covers. Oh, that's right. Bring that up again. Yeah, it's a phony Time magazine cover, hung on the walls of at least 5 of the president's golf courses. Someone actually made that. Might have been undocumented. We don't know. Probably the president didn't make it. What? There's evidence that undocumented people worked at his resort, so it's possible. It doesn't seem likely, though, that the president himself made that because, Time is spelled correctly. As for the bogus Michigan Man of the Year award, according to a former Republican congressman, then Citizen Trump gave a speech at a local county dinner back in 2013, where he most definitely was not named Michigan Man of that year or any other year. But that's the best theory as to where the president first gave himself the invisible crown. And if you're waiting for him to clear things up, good luck to you. In President Trump's world, every year is his year in Michigan and Washington and on the ridiculous. That's it for us this Friday. The CNN Special Report, The Age of Amazon, starts now.
This is CNN News Now. Hello, I'm Natalie Allen. The U.S. Customs Agency says its computers have gradually been coming back online in airports across the country. This after a system-wide outage. The agency stressed there was nothing nefarious about the incident. Tens of thousands of travelers were impacted, however. New York's chief medical examiner has determined that Jeffrey Epstein died from suicide by hanging. Epstein's attorneys say they are not satisfied with the autopsy conclusion and will independently investigate his death. Epstein died in jail while awaiting trial on charges of sex trafficking underage girls. A U.S. congressman is rejecting Israel's offer to let her go see her grandmother in the West Bank after Israel first denied Rashida Tlaib permission to visit under pressure from U.S. President Donald Trump. For more about it, here's CNN's Oren Lieber.
The planned visit of Democratic Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar to Israel has turned into a bit of a drama, with each side here trying to have the last say. After promising to let the two Democratic Congresswomen in, Israel reversed that decision on Thursday under pressure from Donald Trump. Israel saying they would be denied entry because of their support for a boycott movement against Israel. But there was an opening for Tlaib, who has family in the West Bank. She could be allowed to make a humanitarian visit to her family, including her 90-year-old grandmother, if she agreed to Israel's restrictions. She did and was granted permission, but quickly did an about-face. She said, "Visiting my grandmother under these oppressive conditions meant to humiliate me would break my grandmother's heart. Silencing me with treatment to make me feel less than is not what she wants for me. It would kill a piece of me that always stands up against racism and injustice." Her family backed her up on this decision.
We are against the conditional visit of Rashida to Palestine. Rashida has the right to visit Palestine as a Palestinian, regardless of being a congresswoman, as any citizen with a U.S. passport has the right to come and visit their family without any conditions or pressure.
Israel's interior minister, who has the final say on allowing or barring entry to the country, attacked Tlaib on Twitter. "I approved her request as a gesture of goodwill on a humanitarian basis, but it was just a provocative request aimed at bashing the state of Israel. Apparently, her hate for Israel overcomes her love for her grandmother." Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Thursday that Israel has tremendous respect for the U.S. Congress, Republicans and Democrats, but under Israeli law, he's allowed to bar entrance to those who support a boycott of Israel. He made no mention of Tlaib and Omar in his statements, and he didn't make any other statements about the issue on Friday. Netanyahu has never publicly disagreed with Trump, and he wasn't about to start now. But one gets the sense that he'd like this story to be over sooner rather than later, as he faces a very difficult re-election campaign over the next month. Oren Lieberman, CNN, Jerusalem.
I'll be back with more news later. Next year on CNN, it's the age of Amazon.
The following is a CNN special report.
Hey, who are you?
I'm Jeff Bezos.
What is your claim to fame?
I'm the founder of Amazon.com.
What began as an online bookstore
A millennia from now, people are going to look back and say, wow,
has become a virtual empire.
Amazon really is arguably the most successful company in the history of business.
Wow, that's saying a lot.
this is the beginning of e-commerce.
You guys didn't even know if this thing was going to work.
We had a pretty good instinct.
If you make the best service online, people will come.
This is a company that wants to control the infrastructure.
As computers continue to get cheaper, we will layer innovation on top of that.
It's plausible that Amazon will know you better than you know yourself. Alexa, it's in our homes.
Should people trust that it won't be used against them in some way that they don't authorize?
Absolutely.
At our fingertips.
Amazon Web Services took over the web basically in a decade.
Does having that much power give you pause?
That's a significant responsibility. We're aware of that.
And now it fuels our economy.
Amazon is America's second trillion-dollar company now.
The company is now worth almost as much as the entire economy of Australia.
Is Amazon too big?
I don't think Amazon's too big.
I think they have monopoly power.
Amazon's become an invasive species.
So you think that Amazon should be broken up?
Oh, 100%.
A journey.
It's a business miracle.
And a leader. Unlike any other.
This is Blue Moon.
I ask people at Amazon.com, wake up every morning afraid, wake up terrified, be afraid of our customers. Those are the people we have to pay attention to.
Tonight, a CNN special report.
I can guarantee you one thing, it'll be fun.
The age of Amazon. How has the retail industry changed during this rise of Amazon?
Well, you have this sort of great white shark that's always, kind of looming offshore.
Great white shark.
Well, this thing does and can't eat everything.
Despite holding only a small fraction of global retail sales, today Amazon takes claim for nearly 50 cents of every dollar spent in online e-commerce in the United States. An astounding market dominance. You've called what Jeff Bezos has built a miracle.
Absolute miracle. So it's one of the great men. Maybe the greatest before it gets all through.
Legendary investor Warren Buffett even called himself an idiot for not investing in Amazon earlier. What is it about Jeff Bezos, the man, that has made him and Amazon such a success?
I wish I could have a blood test or something.
You want to clone him?
In fact, no, I want a transfusion, actually.
Warren Buffett told me just a few weeks ago, the rise of Amazon, in his view, is a miracle. Is it a miracle?
It's a business miracle.
Really?
I mean, you wouldn't have thought that almost $1 trillion company would be formed in 25 years, that it would disrupt so many different things and create so many different things, and it's still a growing machine. And so, yeah, it's a business miracle.
Miracle seems like it's an act of God, and Amazon has been anything but. I think it's the application of business wisdom and technical expertise over a long period of time.
Brad Stone has been studying Amazon and writing about its growth since the late 90s. You're writing another book about Amazon. What's the focus? Where does this pick up?
The Everything Store ended in about 2011, and there was so much story left to tell. The company is about 4 times larger than it was then. So much has happened.
In addition to selling millions of products, Amazon also manufactures thousands of its own products for the Amazon marketplace. Everything from batteries to luggage to motor oil.
But then increasingly, more than half of what's sold on Amazon comes from a combination of little mom and pop sellers to bigger operations that are selling directly to Amazon customers on their own, and Amazon's just taking a cut.
A seller, a manufacturer, a marketplace, and just the beginning of Amazon's reach.
They're making investments in healthcare.
You're trying to fix that, make it better with Jamie Dimon and with Jeff Bezos. What should America expect the three of you can do on healthcare?
We'll do our best. It's a $3.3 or $3.4 trillion industry.
In finance.
What would your over-under be on Amazon becoming a bank one day?
I think it's, I really don't know.
Even a category like online advertising, they're the 3rd biggest platform for ads in the US, only after Google and Facebook.
Television. Who's the 2nd largest spender on original scripted television in the world right now? Amazon.
How big do you guys want to be? It has been reported that Amazon spends $5 billion a year on original and licensed content. Am I in the ballpark?
Confirm or deny that.
Okay. Alexa.
The most innovative product of the last 3 years, I would argue, is Amazon's Echo device.
Alexa. Turn on the shower. So it can warm up.
Whether they're bumping up against Facebook or Google, whether they're bumping up against Apple, anywhere they're bumping up against other big players, they're winning.
They're also shipping. Amazon has amassed its own logistics empire with an expanding fleet of trucks, planes, drones, robots, and of course, warehouses. Hundreds of warehouses.
It makes same day possible and makes next day delivery possible.
There are some who say that Amazon killed traditional retail. How do you see it?
What we're trying to do is invent for customers. We sort of look at things that we can make better by innovation.
I would describe Amazon in medical terms an opportunistic infection that has literally culled the herd of any weakness or the aged in retail. Now, were some of these companies who went out of business going out of business anyways? Yeah. But Amazon made the decline much faster.
In part by reimagining the physical store experience with their own Amazon-branded retail stores.
Amazon is now the only firm in the world that can really perform consistently what I refer to as Jedi mind tricks. When Amazon announced the acquisition of Whole Foods, the value of Kroger, the largest pure-play grocer in the world, its value declined a third.
It's not just a matter of being big, it's also the structure of its power.
Stacy Mitchell is co-director of the Institute for Local Self-Reliance, a nonprofit that studies economic concentration.
A handful of big companies have taken over large swaths of our economy. We often try to understand Amazon by talking about all the different businesses that it's in. A more accurate way to understand Amazon is that this is a company that wants to control the infrastructure, the rails that other companies need to use in order to get to market.
The infrastructure lets entrepreneurs do amazing things.
In addition to the retail platform, the cloud is another area that is essentially infrastructure.
Speed is a really important part of the culture at Amazon. We're trying to enable really any company or any government to be able to run their technology infrastructure on top of our technology infrastructure platform.
Though a lesser-known part of Amazon, AWS, Amazon's cloud business, has been instrumental to the company's bottom line.
Amazon Web Services took over the web basically in a decade.
When investigative technology journalist Kashmir Hill started noticing the growing footprint of Amazon in her family's life, she decided to try an experiment to live without Amazon.
I worked with this technologist who built a tool for me that just prevented any of my devices from talking to Amazon servers. So that prevented me from using the thing I use the most with Amazon, which is Amazon Web Services.
Not surprising, given that AWS supports countless companies and government agencies and powers 1/3 of the world's cloud.
Netflix, Condé Nast, CIA, all rely on Amazon Web Services.
It's just impossible to avoid.
Amazon's become an invasive species.
An invasive species?
100%.
Ready for shipment.
Next, how Bezos did it.
Hong Kong, Japan, Australia. This is day one. This is the very beginning.
It's a metaphor for everyday life. What I would like to do is inspire other people to take on their own Everest.
It's a very unique environment to be in. There's a lot of emotion here right now.
I just think it was such a letdown.
The journey continues.
Judging I've ever seen anywhere quite like this. This is otherworldly. It's a bit scary here, to be honest. Today really was the never-ending day.
The Challenge Everest, Sunday on CNN.
Denise Ho is one of the most prominent faces of the pro-democracy movement in Hong Kong, a city where protesters are fighting for greater freedom from mainland China.
This is only the beginning.
She has taken their cause to the world stage, angering Beijing. This month, we sit down with the singer-turned-activist in Hong Kong as the city faces its worst political turmoil in decades.
Some protesters are calling for a revolution. Is that what is happening right now?
Talk Asia, Wednesday on CNN.
And now, a moment of wonder from Great Big Story.
People say that like, oh, like we're doing this because black girls can't do ballet, so this is an alternative. It has nothing to do with that. I will tell you, every girl in this studio is classically trained. Everyone does ballet and everything else. Some of the hip lift movements are the hip lift strut, the Vivian, and the zippy. You have to have a certain posture when you're doing ballet. Hip play is a good thing. And hip play, you can break that. You can just really move your torso more. You can bounce with it. You know, you can have fun with it. This is the dance genre that does not discriminate. If you have rhythm and you can groove on point, you got it.
For more stories like this, visit GreatBigStory.com.
The passion of sport, the pressure of competition, the focus it demands.
When you're in that ring for that 90 seconds, everything else just kind of fades away. You're focused on you and your horse.
Follow all of the drama in the Longines Global Champions Tour and Global Champions League as the best show jumpers in the world compete for the top prize. CNN Equestrian Global Champions, tonight on CNN.
By 2012,
Jeff Bezos, Jeff!
you would be hard-pressed to find someone who hadn't heard of Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos, the godfather of the virtual bookstore.
The Everything Store.
But while researching his book, journalist Brad Stone found that person.